don't even know what's going on with the camera. Why did it freeze up? Help me, Lord. Help me, Lord. Help me, Lord. Why did you freeze, boo? Why did you freeze? Why did you freeze? Maybe it will unfreeze itself. But anyway, here we are. Hey, you listen to OZZz on Smash Bros. Radio, the only digital radio station in Birmingham, Jefferson County. What can you say? If you have not done so, please like, share, and follow on Instagram, on Facebook, as well as YouTube. We appreciate you stopping in. So I don't even know why we froze. I don't even know how I can get unfrozen. But you know it's going to be all right. You know it's going to be all right. As long as you can see my little bald headed self up there, as long as you can see my logo, as well as Smash Bros. Radio, we're going to be all right. Also, if you have not done, please check me out on Instagram, on TikTok, on Twitter, on Facebook. On Instagram, it's, what is it? On Instagram, it's OZZz_show. On TikTok, it's OZZz1960. On Facebook, it's it's three Z's, OZZz, and the third Z is lowercase. On Twitter, it's OZZz. So check me out. Add, share, and follow. Do your heart good. Hey, don't forget, that's on the 28th. On the 28th, Black Men Create Fashion Contest and Flash Mob. There is a $150 adult grand cash prize, as well as prizes for young adults and kids. It's going to be on the 28th of October. It's going to be at the Crest Building rooftop. It's from 3 to 5 p.m. is a fashion show, and then from 5 to 8 p.m. is a flash mob. Tickets are available on Eventbrite. Now, if you use Eventbrite, if you type in Smash Bros, you will get a discount. You can also buy tickets on Cash App at, $ Amy Exquisite Gifts. Men are $45, ladies are $25, and then 17 and under tickets are 10. So this is a chance for the family to come out and to celebrate the men in your family. Listen, and since this is the Magic City Classic Week, this is the best time to come out on the 28th, right before what is the concert that they have today on the 28th? Frankie Valli is on the 28th. So this is a chance for men, for you to dress up. Also, this is a way of the Greeks to get together and see which fraternities are the most exquisite, the most handsome, the most whatever. It's a chance. So suit is required, tie is optional, blazers and sports coats are welcome. Must have a jacket on. General admission is $20. Children under 17 is $10. All inclusive male tickets are $45, which would include the group photo as well as open bar. Ladies, $25, which includes open bar, but it does not include the group photo. This is only for the men. Keep that in mind. This is only for the men. It's time for us to recognize and to acknowledge the men. You can use a Cash App. Make sure that you have your full name, your phone number, and number of tickets. If you do not receive a confirmation text, your payment was not received. And again, you can purchase the tickets on Eventbrite. And if you use Eventbrite, you can type in Smash Bros to receive a discount. Some of the proceeds would go to the Men's Project. Or you can go on Amy's Exquisite Gifts in Cash App. It's going to be at the Crest Building, 301 19th Street North. And on the rooftop, ages 5 years and up. You can also dial 205-677-5465. That's text only. So please come out and celebrate the men in your family. Daddies, you can dress up. You can get your grandsons and sons to dress similar to you and just have a good time. This is a time for the community, for the families to come together to show appreciation and show acknowledgement and respect for the men in your family. So come out, come out, come out, come out. Oh, Lord, what happened? What happened? What happened? Also, Thursday, October 27th, which is tomorrow from 6:30 to 11 p.m. Thursday, October 27th from 6:30 to 11 p.m. Be Heard Music Conference 2022 will be a panel discussions, live performances, meet record labels, get live industry interviews hosted by Yaz Baby. Come meet and network with other major record labels, podcasters, radio stations, producers, and DJs. It's going to be at the Workplace at 523rd Street South, Birmingham. So please, if you are in the industry, if you are, if you are, what is it in podcast, if you're a radio station, this is open to the music. It's a music conference, folks. Come out, meet the people who have connections to connections. This is a way for you to connect. This is the way that you start with your networking, and this is the best way to do it for you to be heard. Smash Bros Radio is a good example of how to network. If you are an independent artist, you have a platform, you have a venue, you have an avenue, you have a stage that you can come to. You just contact the office, Smash Bros Radio, set up an appointment. If you are a producer or manager, give us a call, leave a message. We will return your message as soon as possible, and get yourself known. Now, keep in mind, since we are a digital radio station, you can hear us everywhere. We're not just located here in just Birmingham, but we're located everywhere. I have former students who are overseas, and they listen. So please, 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 please come out and introduce yourselves. Thursday, October 27th from 6:30 to 11 p.m. It will be worth your while. If you have any questions, you can call 386-341-3218, 386-341-3218. So, and also if you want to register to perform, call 386-341-3218. So, and plus two, if you want to perform, this is your chance to get yourself known, to get yourself out there. There's going to be some major hard hitters out there, folks. So this is your time to showcase what you got and let people know that Birmingham has it. So this is your chance, folks. So we hope that you would do what you got to do. So there we are. Let me see what I can do. I hope I don't turn myself off. I'm going to try to reconnect and see what will happen. You understand what I'm saying? So give me a minute, please. Thank you very much. I'm not even going to try that because I'm scared. So, but anyway, there's a lot going on, especially with West, KN West, or Yaz, or Yes, or whatever his name is. We know that there is mental illness. We are aware, or well, we don't know, but it's alleged that he does have mental illness. Anyone who is kept up with also, before I forget, please forgive me, shout out to Jonathan Crum on his 10th anniversary for WTAT. That's a milestone, 10 years of WTAT. And so shout out to him. I think I'm a week behind, so Jerome, Jonathan, please forgive me. So shout out to Crum for his 10th year anniversary for WTAT. We appreciate you, man. We appreciate you. So now, those who have kept up with the performances or with the antics that are going on, there's a lot to be said. So I just find it somewhat, what's the word? Confusing that people have given permission or are allowed to speak against, for an example, we're just using these for example. So I'm for better context and content and a vision, a view, whatever. Uh, I just find it very disparaging when individuals can come out and make derogatory statements, racist statements, negative statements when it comes to the black community. They're allowed to do that. They're allowed to say certain things that are just derogatory, that are just downgrading. Uh, and then, two, we have to quit flip flopping when it comes to the words prejudice and racist. Those two words do not mean the same. I'm prejudiced when it comes to certain colors, or when it comes to certain vehicles, or when it comes to certain individuals, not because of their race, but because of the character of themselves. But if you are against someone because of their race, then you're a racist. So see, a racist, the word racist, the term racist is a flag term. It causes emotions. It has a slap in your face. So that's why we are reluctant, very reluctant, to use the term racist in most of the comments. But people are more apt to say, well, I'm not prejudiced. Okay, but you're a racist. And we have to quit interchanging those two words, because the two words do not mean the same. So when you make a derogatory statement against a group, against a race, then you're a racist. And we have got to get into the mindset that there are no, there, we are humans. And as humans, under that umbrella of being humans, you have different groups or different races. So first and foremost, all of us are humans, and we have to remember that all of us are humans. And if you look back in time, you'll find out that the distinction or the separation came about with German scientists. That's when everything started to be divided into categories. You can read from Babylon to Timbuktu, which is a fantastic book. If you have not read it, you need to get the book from Babylon to Timbuktu, and it lists the examples of how everything started to evolve. There was no such thing as a Mongoloids and Caucasians and Negroids. It's all fake. Germans brought this up to cause confusion and to cause division in the human race. And so, see, even brainwashed, when you say race, a group, why is one group singled out as being whatever and allowed to get away when it comes to another? Now, understand, I'm totally against any racist type activity, any type of racist opinion, any type of racist statements, anything that is racist. I'm totally against it. I do not approve of it, nor do I condone it. But I find it extremely confusing and baffling why, when it comes to a certain group or a certain community, it is permissible, it's okay to state derogatory statements, and you're allowed to do that. But when it comes to the Jews, all of a sudden there's such this uproar, and it's anti-Semitic. Let me find that, because see, I'm getting confused. So let me show you how easy it is. Serious, what does anti-Semitic mean?
Anti-Semitic means hostile to, prejudiced against Jews.
Hostile or prejudiced against Jews. Anti-Semitic remarks were posted on the site. It's steep rise and anti. So why is it that when you make a hostile or prejudiced statement against the Jews, that it has so much empowerment that it can close businesses down, it can make an individual look like they are a villain, But yet, when it comes to the black community, the uproar isn't in the same intensity as it is with the Jewish community. Now, I don't want to hear it. Now, understand, I taught the Holocaust. I even went to workshops that taught the Holocaust. I understand the significance of the Holocaust. I understand the horrific, experimental, venomous experiments that were performed during the Holocaust. I understand that. I have an understanding about what happened during the Holocaust. We have to understand too that the Jews were not the only ones to have been persecuted during the Holocaust. There were other groups that were involved with the Holocaust. But see, we only focus on the Jews. Now, is that because the Jews are supposedly the chosen ones? Now, see, then that way, that too poses a concern, and I get confused because I don't understand how these light complexion individuals became the Jews when historically the original Jews were black, were dark skinned. I mean, if you want to use the Bible, please explain to me. Was not Jesus himself a Jew? Was he not a Jew? Now, in the Bible, if I remember correctly, they said that his hair was of wool, which means that his hair was coarse. Does that not the interpretation? So if Jesus was as bronze and his hair was of wool, let me see if I can. Because see, when you use serious, you have to make sure that you know what questions to ask. You have to know how to set up your questions. So let me see. Serious, what is the description in the Bible of Jesus?
Here's what I found.
Okay. 100 Bible verses about what Jesus looked like. And then there's one, what did Jesus look like? Okay, let's do this one. Because this is history.com, the ongoing mystery of Jesus' face. He is one of the most commonly painted figures in Western art, but what do we really know? For most centuries, the most common image of Jesus Christ has been that of a bearded, fair-skinned man with long, wavy, light brown or blonde hair. But the Bible doesn't describe Jesus physically, and all the evidence we have indicates he probably looked very different from what he has long been betrayed. The Bible offers few clues about Christ's physical appearance. Most of what we know about Jesus comes from the first 4 books of the New Testament, the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And according to the Gospel, Jesus was a Jewish man born in Bethlehem, raised in the town of Nazareth in Galilee, which is formerly Palestine, now northern Israel, which we'll get into in a minute. During the 1st century, we know that Jesus was about 30 years old when he began his ministry, but the Bible tells us virtually nothing about what he looked like, except that he didn't stand out in any particular way. Let's see. For many scholars, Revelation 1:14 through 15 offers a clue that Jesus' skin was a darker hue and that his hair was woolly in texture. The hairs of his head, it says, were white as white wool or white as snow. His eyes were like a flame of fire. His feet were like burnished bronze, refined as in furnace. So please forgive me because I'm not a theologian. I'm just a novice. I'm just a novice. So from what I've just read, and that comes from, again, Revelations 1, verses 14 through 15. Again, let me make sure that you understand that Jesus' skin was a darker hue and that his hair was woolly in texture. The hairs of his head were white as white wool, white as snow. His eyes were like a flame of fire. His feet were like burnished bronze refined as in a furnace. Hmm. We know that he was a Palestinian Jewish man living in Galilee in the first century. So please forgive me. So from the context that I've just read, from my interpretation, and understand, I'm just a novice. I'm not a theologian. I do not have a theology degree, nor have I gone to a Bible college, nor do all I am is just a poor teacher, poor retired teacher that went to church religiously when I was younger because I was made to, and was raised with the Bible. But from what I've just read, does that not mean that Jesus was not white? So if Jesus was not white, so where do these pale-faced Jews come from? Where did they come from? When did all of a sudden did these darkened hue individuals become lighter hues? Now, listen, I am man enough and I'm humble enough that if someone can come or if somebody can contact me to give me evidence, give me the references of where to look myself, I have no problem in coming back on my show and offering an apology and then giving what I have researched. But I'm just saying in Revelation, it gives you a brief description of what Jesus was. So I don't understand why the Jews are sat on this pedestal of being able where you can't say anything disparaging against them. Now it has been my experience as well, I'm sure, with others, that I haven't had a very good relationship with some of the Jews that I have been involved with. When I was in Montgomery, my cousin Eric Till owned a florist off of McGee Road, and the majority of his customers were Jews. Now, those individuals that I dealt with were very haughty and very rude and very pompous. Now, I'm not saying all of them. I'm just saying this is my interaction. This is my experience. So if I were to say anything disparagingly against them, why would I be held so much to a high, different disciplined than if I talked about someone who was black or brown or other than being Jew? And then you have the experience that we dealt with, I think, 2 years ago, when Dr. Angela Davis was awarded an award. I think it was the Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth Freedom Award. Then all of a sudden, you have the Jews coming out speaking against her because of her allegiance or statements about the Palestinians, which were true. She didn't say anything that was negative or that was not untrue. It was true, and it's still being true. Because when you look at the history of the Holy Lands, or what we perceive to be the Holy Lands, those lands were owned by the Palestinians. But then when the United States got involved, which was after World War II, that's when all the confusion started up. Because what right did the United States have to give the Palestinians lands to the Jews? They didn't have any right. And history dictates that any time the United States, acting like a Karen, put their nose into a business or events or affairs that have nothing to do with us, confusion starts. The Jews aren't any better than any other group. And again, allow me to say, I have nothing against any group Nothing. The only thing that I question is why is it so apparently, or why is it so gravitational when it comes to speaking against the Jews, that all of a sudden you have the anti-flammation or whatever coming out. Why do you have so much power? Is it that you're ashamed that the true descriptions are going to come out? Because if we go by the true descriptions, if we go by the activities that are being perpetrated over in the Holy Lands, the Israeli government aren't any better than, aren't any better than what has transpired before. You have Palestinian children, Palestinian elders, Palestinian women being beat, being brutalized, being raped, being murdered, and nothing is being reported about it. But yet we don't report on that. But when it comes to the black community, and we have pretty much the same thing transpiring, except for the rapes and all that. But all of a sudden, it's permissible to talk about the black community, but not the Jewish community. I have a problem with it. I have an unapologetic problem with that. And then, if it's to be known, there is confusion in the Jewish community, because you have, from what I understand, you have 3 groups in the Jewish community that do not like each other. You have the Orthodox and the unorthodox. So I'm not saying that what Wes said was correct. All I'm saying is, and then for Adidas, to have the audacity, to have the gall. Adidas is a German company. And if you look to the history of Adidas supported the Nazi. They favored the Nazis. So you have a history. And really, if you really want to get really muddy with the situation, same way with Mercedes.
Eric Byron Peters.
So I don't understand. I don't understand. So if anyone has a way of explaining, I'm here. All I want to do is to make sure that my platform is used positively, that my platform offers as much information as possible. That's all. So if anything that I have stated is incorrect, you are more than welcome to come on the show. I welcome you to come on the show and to give me what you feel are the facts. That's all, I'm here for that. If you know that what I said about Adidas not being a German company, show me. Show me where Adidas was not a German company. Show me where Adidas did not support the Nazis. Show me where Adidas did not make supplies for the Nazis. Now, and then again, what confused me the most, while Cayenne or whatever his name is, why he was making derogatory and disparaging and negative comments about the black community, all the businesses weren't saying anything. They were supporting him. But then again, all of a sudden, when he uses pretty much the same tactics when it comes to the Jews, all of a sudden everybody wants to sever the ties, want to undo everything. The Jews aren't any better than anybody else. So, I mean, I don't understand. And I really want to understand. I really want to understand. But I don't understand why there is such what is it? It is permissible for one group to be talked about like dogs and another group you can't. I don't understand. Because when you really want to get down, and I understand again, I comprehend the horrendous experiments, the experiences that the Jews went through. But again, understand that the Jews were not the only ones to be persecuted or to go through these experiments. There were other groups that were involved. So for you to set the Jews apart from everybody else, you're totally wrong. Because the Jews, the Israeli government, is practically doing the same thing to the Palestinians. And it's been allowed. Because as I suggested, or as I have commented, when the United States got involved after World War II and stole the Palestinians' land, territories from them, and foolishly gave it to the Jews, that's where the problem started. And now you see how greedy the Jews are, to where now they have come in, they have raped the Palestinians physically, mentally, spiritually, and financially of what is rightfully the Palestinians. Now correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But when you compare the black community with the Jewish community, you would see that there are no similarities between the two, because the same transgressions that were perpetrated back during the 50s and 60s are still prevalent today. Are still prevalent. The same mentality is prevalent today. Nothing's changed when it comes to the black community. But look at the Jews. And then for the Jewish community to have the audacity to come out and speak against Dr. Angela Davis because of an award that she earned, and she was not going to get it until finally the black community came together and said, you need to back off. Then that's when the Jews backed off. What right does the Jews have to dictate what the civil rights, let me back up. If the Civil Rights Institute was funded the way that it should be funded, then they would have more impact and more gravity when it comes to the history of Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth's campaign. But because you have certain entities, because you're having certain institutions, because you're having certain organizations that fund the Civil Rights Institute, the Civil Rights Institute does not have that liberty to do what Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth has set it up to do. And then again, when you look at the bigger picture, is it proper to blame or to set blame at the feet of the black community because you allowed it? Because if you had the same strength, if you had the same unification, then you could have a lot done. See, the Jews have this close connection. They have this unification. They have this unity among themselves. Same way with gays. Stonewall was their flag. The civil rights should be the blacks. I just don't understand. I really don't. I'm sincerely, I don't understand. When you look at Birmingham as a whole, the same groups that were prominent, that were around back during Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth's days, are the same groups that you have now. the same opinions, the same ideas, the same thoughts, the same attitudes that you had during Fred Shuttlesworth's day, Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth's days, are the same attitudes and all that you have now. There is no reason why Birmingham should be in the shape or predicament that it's in. But understand, the majority is decreasing to where the white population is increasing. And I wouldn't be surprised in the next two mayoral campaigns that you have a white mayor. Because, see, we vote on popularity. We don't vote when it comes to the experience. You would rather vote someone who has this, whose father was a preacher or granddaddy was a preacher, or they work in this prominent judgeship, or they work in this prominent position with the state or with the county, and everybody knows in the community that the individual is a whore. Everyone in the community knows that this individual does not have the receipts to where this individual has worked in the community, has worked in the district. But no, you don't want to vote for an individual who has the experience, who have the receipts that they've been there every day since day one. They have over 25, over 15, over 30 years experience working in the community that are accessible, that are visible, when they have receipts, that they know the issues, they know the solutions, they know how to change things. But no, you don't want to vote for those individuals. You want to vote for somebody who is a pompous peacock, who doesn't want anything to do with the community except be a whore, spread his seed all over the place, and go down to Montgomery and not do anything. Or you have these name brands who, relatives who have stellar experience, stellar receipts that they've done in the community, and these name brands have nothing. They're running on the coattails of their relatives, and they don't do anything. So who really is to blame? Who is responsible for allowing these things to occur or to happen? We have an individual who wants to be a celebrity. How can you be a celebrity when you don't do what you're supposed to when it comes to the city? You would rather take these pictures, photo ops with these individuals. But yet, look at what's happening to Birmingham. There's no broadband. There is no revenue being generated on a consistent, constant, effective, efficient basis. Now, we have the teams, but Birmingham has a history of having professional teams coming in and then leaving. Make it make sense to me, please. Make it make sense. So you have all these teams coming in, and it's good that we have other activities. Most of the people don't know that we have a soccer team, we have a rugby team, we have a basketball team, a professional. We have the HBCU, Basketball Association, that has been here. How many knows about the HBCU, Basketball Association? How many of you know about it? Tell me, how many of you know about it? How many of you have supported it? That has been here, but yet you bring these other individuals in. But you have a professional team that has been here all the time. You have an individual who has allowed certain groups to come in and dictate what goes on in Birmingham. You have that Tinker Tonker Stadium that ain't about nothing, when you had a blueprint of a dome stadium that could house multiple venues, multiple events, multiple activities that would generate the taxes or generate the revenue that would be required to help Birmingham out, as well as Jefferson County. So is that the reason why certain groups can be talked about? Because certain groups have not used their power the way that they should be, like the Jews have used, like the gays have used? If you have the answers, I'm here for it. But I think that it is unacceptable. I find it disappointing. I find it pathetic that one group is allowed to say, you can say whatever you want to for one group, but another group comes up and then all of a sudden you're anti-Semitic or you're anti-whatever. One group is no better than the other. And I don't want to hear all this other stuff about where you had. No, I don't want to hear it. Because when you do your research properly and correctly, you'll find out that the black community has suffered the most of any group and is still being subjected to injustices. And then for someone to allow a group to come in and talk against a prominent professor because of her stand on a certain issue, that is totally wrong. And then all of a sudden don't backtrack and say that, well, the Jewish community no, you don't appreciate nothing. Because the individuals that I've dealt with have been pompous ass and arrogant and condescending. And again, I'm not saying all are. But when I lived in Miami, the same attitude was prevalent down in Miami that was prevalent in Montgomery. I was over at Saltgrass? The Sawgrass, opened the door. This individual looked at me up and down and said, so? I was saying that, well, I was taught to open the door for my elders. She politely, pompously told me, I don't need your help. I wish that I could have closed the door on her. When I was leaving, similar, different individual. Opened the door, she stood back. I really did try to close the door on her. But the way that I am for one group, I'm for all groups. I'm universal. I know that there are bad individuals in each group. I'm universal. I even lock my doors when I see strange white folks. If I don't know who you are, I'm locking my doors. It has nothing to do with, your race or your group or what. I'm universal. If I don't know you, I don't trust you. And everybody knows me well enough that if you are a human being, I don't really like most of the human beings. It has nothing to do with the group. I just don't like human beings. But for you to cancel a culture. Now, what he said was wrong. Yes, it was. His activities were wrong. Yes, they were. But for you to cut ties with him when you did not cut ties when he spoke against the black community, there's something wrong with that, and that is totally unacceptable. But again, do we lay the responsibility at the feet of the black community? Because there's no cohesiveness. There's no glue to the community. It's similar to here in Birmingham. You have the bougies who think that who are supposed to be Afrocentric, but yet when it comes to certain black activities, How many of you celebrate Kwanzaa? But yet, how many of you celebrate St. Patrick's Day or any other white holiday? I'm just asking. I'm just asking the question. I'm just putting the question out there. But I think that is unacceptable. I think it is pathetic for one group to be put on a pedestal and another group not. And then all of a sudden, when it comes to the Koreans being attacked, all of a sudden they have all these. I don't understand. All of us are humans. The only distinction that we have when it comes to our culture. Birmingham should be above everybody else because of the steel mills here in Birmingham. You have multiple cultures that have been here together. So there should not be this separation that we have here of all places here in Birmingham. We should have a better understanding when it comes to the differences, and we should have a better acceptance when it comes to a different culture. Because if you are native Birminghamian, your family worked beside these other cultures. Birmingham is rich when it comes to its history. And it is mind-blowing and fascinating when you find out that each section was settled by a certain culture. Do you know that there's a Jewish cemetery that's located in back of Parker High School, right where Tuggle Elementary is? Do you know about the Jewish cemetery? Why is a Jewish cemetery in the middle of a black community? Why is a Jewish cemetery there at Tuggle Elementary? Do you know the history of East Thomas? Do you know the history of Ensley? Do you know the history of Smithfield? Do you know the history of Southside, of Norwood? Birmingham should not be in the predicament that it's in. Birmingham should be in a better position when it comes to the view of the world because of its history. Should have a better understanding. But again, I unapologetically state the same attitude, the same mentality that was prevalent during Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth days are still here. People don't seem to remember or want to remember that Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth, before he invited Dr. King to come to Birmingham, had years under his belt fighting against racism, fighting against Bull O'Connor. Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth invited Dr. King to Birmingham because Dr. Fred Shuttlesworth knew that if King accepted the invitation, that Dr. King would bring with him the media. Now you have to understand the history of the media, because there was never before would people believe what was going on here in Birmingham. They had to see it. Same way with the Vietnam War. If the media was not as prominent then, showing exactly what was transpiring over in Vietnam, that war would have continued longer than what it has. We were horrified at what was going on in Vietnam when it came to the veterans. Same thing with Birmingham. We were horrified to find out that they were using fire hoses. They were using dogs. But you notice that they don't report on what is happening over in the Holy Land or what is transpiring with the Palestinians. There's no I don't understand why the United States is giving billions to Israel. I really don't. Those billions of dollars that Israel is receiving can come back and serve as social services for the citizens of the United States. And see, it still goes full around. That's why it is most important that you vote for individuals that have your interest at heart and not their interests, no hidden agendas. That's why you vote for people who have the experience, that have the know-how, that have the receipts, that know that know the issues, the concerns, the problems in a district, in a neighborhood, and they offer the solutions. They have the solutions to deal with those. Comes full circle. Everything is woven together. So Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth already had the experience. He was the one that introduced or invited Dr. King to Birmingham. Because if you do your history, Dr. King has suffered his first failure when it came to a campaign, and I think it was the garbage union in Nashville. I think it was, Memphis. So his ego was hurt. So he came, and what Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth knew, he brought the media. And because of the media getting involved, that brought the change. But then during Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth's campaign, there were a lot of black churches. There were a lot of individuals in the black community that were very disrespectful to Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth. He was not given the respect or the acknowledgement that he rightfully deserved. And it is what it is. You can say that, well, they were working for the white folks. Okay, all right. And your point is what? When you stay silent for transgression, that means that you agree with it. You accept it. It wasn't until the funeral of Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth that he was given the recognition, because if everyone knew the history of when the blueprints of the Civil Rights Institute was being drawn up and there was discussions, people would be surprised at the disrespect that some of the individuals gave Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth. But because of him being strong-minded and having a strong constitution, he didn't allow certain things to happen. They didn't want his statue to be in front. They wanted his statue to be in a less prominent place. And I heard that from Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth. Now, whether or not it's true or not, I don't know. I only heard it from Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth. I was blessed to have met Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth. I was blessed, divinely blessed, to have had the opportunity and the chance to sit down and talk and converse with him, as well as to drive him to the events and also to his hotel. I used to belong to the Center for Law and Civic Education. The headquarters is located over at Sanford University. So the Center for Law and Civic Education brought teachers throughout the United States to Birmingham for the Civil Rights Institute Forum. And Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth was a speaker. And I used to drive Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth from the Redmont Hotel to the different places, and over there to, Dreamland Barbecue on the south side. So I'm speaking from what Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth told me. But then again, going back, it is unacceptable. The Jews aren't any better than any other group. Yes, they have gone through some horrific experiences. And I'm not taking anything away from them. But to be anti-Semitic because of prejudice? No. No. And people are scared of that word. anti-Semitic? How come you can't be anti-black? But we need to do some research. We need to do some soul searching. We need to look inside ourselves to find out what do we need to do to come together as a human race to better ourselves. What Cayenne or Cayenne or whatever his name is did, it's left up for interpretation. But for individuals, for companies and all to withdraw the support after he spoke out against the Jews, but did not do so when he spoke out against the black community, there's a problem with it. There's an issue. There's a concern with that. The Jews aren't any better than any other group. And then if you want to be so religious and so biblical, read the Bible, because the Bible tells you that Jesus was not white. He was not pale in complexion. He did not have blue eyes. He did not have blonde hair. He did not have brown hair. And again, where do these pale-faced Jews come from? Because now the research has been done that the Ethiopians are the true Jews. I don't know. I'm just saying. All I know is we need to come together. We're going through a trying time. November 8th is just around the corner. And that is going to dictate the process, the progress, or the digression of the United States. Because the Republican Party has come out and told us exactly what they're going to do. They did away with Roe versus Wade. It's put back into the states. Now all of a sudden they want a national ban on abortions. But they didn't. Them old white men, the WASP, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant men, weren't saying anything about abortions when the blacks and the browns were having abortions. But then when them lily white, bleach blonde women were having more abortions, then all of a sudden it's a problem. There was no problem while crack was in the black communities, but all of a sudden when cocaine started infiltrating, which cocaine has been in the white community, but when it became more visible, oh, there's a problem. Same with mental illness. So why is it more important for one group to be focused on when another group isn't? There's something wrong with that. One group is no better than any other group. And if I made people mad, I don't care. But if you have evidence, if you have information to debunk or to debunk what I said, I'm willing for you to come on the show and to show me where what I have said is incorrect. Show me the research. I will openly and publicly acknowledge and apologize. But if you don't have evidence, research, documentation to back up what you say, can't come on my show, because I'm not going to do hearsay. But it's time. It is past time. So it is Wednesday, hump day. Go to MagicCityClassic.com to find out, or activities.com to find out what's happening tonight. I appreciate you stopping in. I appreciate you allowing me the time. Y'all take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful Wednesday. Be safe. Be careful. Know your value. Know your worth. Know you are the one that brings obstacles to you. You can do anything that you wish. And most importantly, know that I love you more than I love my luggage. Y'all take care. The live stream on the show. On the show. The live stream. On the show. The live stream. live stream on the show.